Hi Nines. So this video is going to be about the autonomic system. So that's the next section in your booklet. Um, so I'll briefly go over what the previous video was about. So the previous video was quite long because we talked about the somatic nervous system. So if you remember from this is page 3. We're looking at the somatic and the autonomic system. So somatic, remember, it controls voluntary. So what that means is you're controlling it. Well, autonomic, if you remember, I said remember autonomic, automatic, things that are happening automatically. So it's involuntary body function. So usually stuff that's happening on the inside. Um, and then the autonomic system itself has two other little systems called the sympathetic and parasympathetic. So I'm going to go through these systems now. So if you guys continue, I think it's on page, this one here. All right, so page 9. So obviously, like I said, make sure you highlight, sorry, just give me one sec. The system we're looking at. So we're looking at the autonomic nervous system. So we're looking at this section here. So remember, it's still part of the peripheral. We've done somatic, that's what we did last video. Now it's about the autonomic nervous system. So the autonomic nervous system carries messages between the central nervous system, or the CNS, to the internal muscles, organs, and glands. So organs and glands are, for example, like heart, lungs, pancreas, all these things inside your body. Messages are passed to and from those things from your brain. So your brain would send the messages. For example, it could be like, okay, your heart needs to beat faster. Your brain will send that message. You aren't actually controlling it. You aren't going, okay, you need to start pumping more blood. You're not actively saying that. Your brain will send the messages. So that's linked to so the autonomic nervous system, it operates involuntary, so it says here, involuntary mechanisms such as heart beating. It's also responsible for breathing, right, heart beating there, sweating, the size of your pupil. These are things that automatically happen in your body, but something you don't control. So that's what the autonomic system does. So as I said before, the autonomic system is broken up into two systems, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. So they work in opposite to each other. So if we look at the parasympathetic side, so the parasympathetic side constricts the pupil, stimulates salivation, it slows down the heartbeat, it constricts the bronchi, stimulates digestion, and other things like so. While the sympathetic, if you look directly opposite, it's doing the opposite thing. So for example, the heart, the sympathetic would increase the heart rate, or it would dilate your pupils. So if you guys remember, I talked about the example, the sympathetic nervous system is when like you're under attack and adrenaline pumps in and you would try and run away, so fight and flight response. So that's why your sympathetic nervous system kicks in, and that nervous system would be like, okay, the brain needs to tell the heart that it needs to pump faster because obviously I need a lot more blood, I need a lot more oxygen going to my cells in this particular situation. And then when you have relaxed, the parasympathetic comes in. So your brain's like, okay, now we're going to switch to parasympathetic, and we're going to do the opposite. Now, because we're safe, we're going to slow down our heart rate, we're going to breathe slower, constrict our pupils, and things like that. So they work in opposite to each other. So I'm going to go into a bit more depth here. Okay, so the sympathetic system it switches on when you're in danger or in stress. Now we're looking at this, so if you guys can highlight that as well. So it's responsible for increasing the blood flow, increasing the heart rate, releasing adrenaline. Because if you think about it, let's say you're in danger and you want to run away, you would want more blood going to like your muscles, because obviously the blood carries oxygen, which we've learned about before. The oxygen is used by the muscle cells to create energy for us to move. Increasing the heart rate, that's related to that. Releases adrenaline. Opens the bronchioles in the lungs, which increases the amount of air entering the lungs. So if you think about it, remember the bronchioles are the tubes. The tubes will, when they become bigger, so as they open up or dilate, more oxygen will come through, which is what we need. We want more oxygen entering in our body so it can be taken to the cells. It diverts blood away from the digestive system and the muscles, and to the muscles, sorry. So why do you think blood will, when you're in times of danger and stress, think about why blood will go away from the digestive system, not completely, but most of it will go towards the muscles instead of the digestive system. So think about that. So obviously this is a scenario where your sympathetic nervous system is definitely going to kick in. The parasympathetic nervous system, so this is the opposite, that kicks in when at rest. So we're going to highlight this one here. It is responsible for reduces the diameter. So right now we're at rest, we don't need a lot of oxygen. The diameters of the bronchioles are going to become smaller, so back to its normal size. It slows down the heart rate and blood flow, and then it will increase the blood flow to the digestive tract. So before, the blood was going all the way to our muscles, but now it's going to our digestive tract. So just remember that the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems, they work in opposite to each other. And yeah, mainly you see this in times of stress. All right, so this is a table that we're going to fill out. So this is going to be a summary table. This is a very good. For example, the 3 pages that I've done, I'm going to summarize it into this table. So this is another way of a way that you guys can concise your notes. Making a table, making it really simple, doing dot points or like just a couple words to summarize what we've learned. So we know the parasympathetic nervous system, we just said, used in rest and for relaxation, while sympathetic works under stress and danger. We know in sympathetic nervous system it releases adrenaline, while the parasympathetic, obviously you don't need adrenaline, so it's going to store it. It's going to store it so when you're in danger again, it can be released. So we said there's going to be an increase in blood flow in sympathetic. So this will be the opposite. Decrease in blood flow. Sympathetic, we said the bronchioles will widen up, so wider bronchioles. And this one is narrower. Narrower bronchioles. And in terms of pupil sympathetic, the pupils would dilate, so dilate. This one will. But yeah, so that is it for the nervous system. So now we've literally learnt all the nervous systems and what they do. So we've literally gone through each one of these. And the next lesson will be about the cells of the nervous system, which is a neuron. Awesome. Thanks, guys.